Hello and welcome dear students. Today we are going to discuss about the Kushanas. In the previous module we discussed how the political developments of Central Asia forced Central Asian tribes to march towards India. As a result, number of tribes invaded India and established their rule. Among all the Central Asian tribes, Kushanas were perhaps the most powerful dynasty that ruled India for a long period of time. In this lecture, we will focus on the Kushana rule in India and its significance as far as the socio-political history of India is concerned. Before discussing the topic, let me introduce the objectives of today's lecture. To know about the background of Kushanas, to know about the circumstances which forced Kushanas to march towards India, and to know about the impact of Kushanas on the society, politics and culture of India. Let's first start with the introduction. As we know that the northwestern India has always active contacts with the Iran, Afghanistan and the Central Asia. Hence, popular movements across Central Asia in the post-Mauryan period has a direct impact on the political situation in North and the northwestern India, particularly to the west of the upper Ganga and the Yamuna. Since the middle of 2nd century BC, various nomadic tribes have been fighting in Central Asia and the area between the Caspian Sea and China. In order to protect the Chinese Empire from the invasion of Central Asian tribes, King Qin Shi constructed the Great Wall of China. Once China was closed to them, nomadic tribes such as Indo-Greeks, Scythians, Sakas and others began migrating from the steppes in search of a new pasture land. India came in contact with the Western powers as a result of the Achaemenid invasion and the successful Alexander's campaign. No doubt, the Mauryan king Ashoka managed to hold a strong grip on his empire, but his successors failed to check the advancement of the Central Asian tribes. As a result, the Greeks, or we can say the Yavanas as they are known in India, were quickly followed by the Scythians, who are also known as Sakas, and the Parthians, who are also known as Pallavas. They began to penetrate into India and subsequently established their power in India. Like their predecessors, the Kushanas, a branch of Yuchi tribe, also marched and controlled the northwestern region of India. Of course, the movements did not stop here, and in later periods, people continued to cross the northwestern frontier. India on the northwestern is surrounded by the range of mountains, and there are many routes and the passes in these mountains. India and Central Asia got connected through these natural routes. Following these routes, Indians during the Mauryan rule established their control in the north of Afghanistan. This is reflected from the fact that the kings of India had established close contacts with the northwest very early in history. As we find Ashoka's bilingual inscriptions in Greek and Aramaic at Kandahar is a significant example of the contacts maintained by Indians with the Central Asian people and the centers of Greek world and the outlying settlements. Ashokan rock edicts mentions about the Yunas, who were also known as Yavanas, referring to the people living in the northwestern borderland, where he issued Aramaic and Greek edicts. Within his empire and to the 5 Yuna rulers of West Asia, North Africa and Greece is the best example that shows the commercial connections and contacts between India and the Greek world. Such widespread connections and intimate contacts with the Western world became more pronounced in the period followed the decline of Mauryan Empire. The Mauryas were succeeded in the north, east, central India and the Deccan by Indo-Greeks, Sungas, Kannavas and Satavahanas. Apart from these, there also emerged number of local dynasties and the kingdoms after the fall of Mauryan Empire in India. But the most significant among them was the rule of Kushanas. which totally changed the history of North India, as under them many conquests and the developments took place in India. Now we will be discussing about the Central Asian tribe known as Kushanas. The Kushanas emerged major ruling power followed the decline of Mauryas. It has been mentioned in the Chinese chronicles that the Kushanas were one among the 5 branches of the Yuchi tribe, a nomadic group of people living near China border, who were forced by the Chinese kings to migrate across the Tarim Basin to Bactria between 165 to 128 BCE. Kushana, like their predecessors, moved towards Hindu Kush following Parthians and started controlling the northwestern parts of North India. In order to understand the history of India, the Kushana realm is enormously important. Unlike their predecessors, Kushanas succeeded in creating a big empire by merging the small territorial kingdoms in the Indo-Iranian borderland. Thus, India during the period witnessed regional political integration under Kushana rule. Kushana Empire included the parts of Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, parts of Chinese Central Asia, the subcontinent's northwestern borderland, Kashmir, Mathura, and at times beyond Mathura through the Ganga plains to Bhagalpur in Bihar. As a result, the Kushana Empire came to be known as Central Asian Empire. About the territorial expansion of Kushanas, Kanishka first Raptak inscription found in Afghanistan provides glowing testimony of Kushana control over the areas near Ganga Valley. There is no reference of Vimtaktu as the immediate successor of Kujala Khadpasis, who was the Kushana clan's head. But the Raptak inscription mentions the name of Vima Taktu succeeded Kujala Khadpasis before Vima Khadpasis, who was the Kanishka's father, became the king. Vima Taktu is depicted in his coins as Satur Meghas, which means a great savior, the Kushana ruler who issued a number of coins that followed Kujala Khadpasis and his predecessor Vima Khadpasis. This period marked the development in polity, economy, religion and culture as contacts increased dramatically between India and Central Asia, which lasted from the 1st to 3rd century BC. Archaeological excavations, art, historical evidences, coins, inscriptions bears the testimony of such contacts. Silk Road emerged a great highway that connected people of different regions. The Silk Road connected China with West Asia and the Mediterranean via Bactria. It is through this route everything like goods, culture, ideas, etc. traveled from one area to another that in turn shaped the history of a region to a large extent. Now we will be discussing about the early days of Kushana dynasty. Kushana dynasty was founded by Kujala Khadpasis. He was the powerful king and used the title Great King, King of Kings on his coins. He had successfully penetrated into India and united the 5 Yuchi tribes and established his control over a vast area. He made his home in Kabul and Kashmir. According to Raptak inscription of Kanishka I, Vima Khadpasis was the 3rd important ruler of Kushana dynasty. His nimbate figure depicted him as a Supramandana, being frequently emerging from the clouds, an obvious indication of his divine status. The scepter, of course, depicted him as a royal authority on the earth or the privileged one who can punish his subjects. In the Vimas Dashtinawar inscription, Kushana rulers are referred as the law of the living world. As a result, the king was portrayed as a lawgiver or upholder of cosmic order. We found that Deva Manushya, or a god in human form, is depicted in Karma inscription. Similarly, Kanishka was given the title son of a god, or we can say God himself. Now, we will be discussing about the territorial expansion during the Kushana rule. Kushana rule expanded in all the corners of north and the northwest India during the reign of Kanishka I. Kanishka succeeded his father Bhima Khadpasis in about 78 CE. According to the Raptak inscription, the territories controlled by the Kanishka included the Ganges-Yamuna valley, city of Sakta, Kasambi, Patliputra and Srikamp. A big statue of Kanishka was found near Mathura with the Brahmi inscription, Great King, King of Kings, Son of God. Kanishka establishes that he fulfilled the role of universal emperor, that is Chakravartin. Unlike the Indo-Greeks who used the title Basilo Basili, that means the King of Kings, the Kushanas borrowed titles from Persians, Chinese and the Romans. They were given the titles like Maharaja Adhiraja means the King of Kings, Devaputra means the Son of Heaven, Sutra means Savior and Kesara King of Gods, Caesar. Kanishka was unquestionably in great command of the subcontinent's northwestern frontier areas. The city of Purshapura, Peshawar in Pakistan, appears as Kanishkapura in the Shahji Ki Deri relic casket inscription, clearly named after the Kushana monarch. The renaming of the city after the reigning Kushana emperor strongly implies that this was Kanishka's primary political center within his South Asian territories. Kanishka built a massive stupa here, which became popular with foreign visitors. The Saka era is named after the year 78 CE, but it's also thought to be associated with Kanishka's accession. Now, we will be looking about the successors of Kanishka. Huvishka, the most powerful and the prominent king, succeeded Kanishka first. He ruled for more than 3 decades and controlled all the regions which were conquered by Kanishka first. The coins of Huvishkas are of different types with different weights which contained a large number of gold and copper coins. So far as the history of Kushana is concerned, Mathura is significant as number of inscriptions belonging to Huvishka has been discovered here. Another inscription found in Vadka, Kabul signifies that Huvishka controlled the whole area which was earlier controlled by Kanishka. The gold coins of Huvishka is of different types and his coins depicts the image of large number of divinities from the pantheons of India, Iran, Central Asia and Greece. The long rule of 32 years of Huvishka is followed by Vasudeva first. The Kushana rule of northwestern parts of India and Mathura was intact. In view of the rise of Rudradaman first in western India, the Kushanas seem to have suffered a territorial loss in western India. Coins depicted the name of 2 Vasudeva's successors. They are Kanishka III and Vasudeva II. Vasudeva II has been mentioned as the last possible ruler of Kushanas. The end of empire came in wake of their defeat in the hands of Shahpur I of Iran, who was the Sassanid ruler. The Naksha-Rustum inscription of Shahpur I records his victory over Kushanas. The Kushana realm is ruled by 2 rulers at the same time, one senior and another junior. Under the Kushanas, one such strange practice was hereditary dual rule. As a result, it appears that there was less centralization under these rulers. The Kushanas strengthened the rule by adapting Satrapa system of government. The empire was split into several Kshatripas. Each Kshatripa was given the authority of a Kshatrip. Now, we will be discussing about the religious policy of Kushanas. Kushana kings like the Ashoka, created an atmosphere of tolerance and respect as number of local deities were incorporated into the Kushana pantheon by the Kushana rulers. The mention of these deities is very well portrayed on coins issued by Kushana kings. Rosenfeld observed that the selection of reverse type indicated the depiction of individual deities as companions of the king, divine companions and supporters of the monarch, so that the coinage types were propagandist in nature. The multiplicity of gods that are shown added to Kanishka's status and importance. The coins of Kushanas reflects the Iranian religious ideas were dominant, which is the result of their Bactrian cultural background. As a result, we find that on majority of Kanishka's coinage, on the reverse, Iranian gods with their names in Greco-Roman script are depicted. Raptak inscription mentions that the gods and the goddesses worshipped by the Kushanas were of Iranian origin and were regarded as the source of their power. The most popular and presiding deity of Kushanas was the Nana. Depiction of Buddha as Budho is most valuable addition to the repertoire of deities depicted on the Kanishka's coins. The Shiva is depicted on the coinage in the same way as the Buddha, Mitra, Ahura Mazda, etc. By placing the Buddha on his coins, King Kanishka has equated himself with that deity and thereby inferred for himself a divine role. His association and adherence is very much reflected from the coins in which he depicted the image of Buddha. In the religious issue, Hovishka was more innovative. He admitted gods of Greek, Brahmanical, Buddhist and the Zoroastrian on his numismatic pantheon. Representations of Alexandrian and the Roman deities indicate Hovishka's desire to appease Roman traders involved in the Indian trade network. It is also worth noting that the Silk Road trade increased during the reign of Kanishka I and Hovishka. Multicultural coins and the cosmopolitan attitude of these Kushana rulers may have facilitated trade that passed through their territory. Sikanda, Kumhara, Visheshka and Mahasena were four separate gods to Hovishka, who later merged into one deity known as Kartikeya in Brahmanical religion. The depiction of a bewildering variety of deities on Kushana coins belonging to the various religious beliefs in the empire indicates the ruler's promotion of composed culture and the religious practices, where acknowledgement of local culture is a significant phenomenon. Despite the fact that Iranian religion gained prominence, no single religion dominated the society during the period. Now we will be going to discuss about the dynastic centuries of Kushanas. The Kushana rulers not only minted coins to demonstrate their claim to divinity, but also built dynastic centuries called Bogho Langho or Bogho Puro in Bactria or Deva Kula in Sanskrit Prakrit inscriptions, which became centers of divine worship. Vima Kadpasis arranged for the construction of two such royal cult centers, one at Math near Mathura and other at Surkothal. Kanishka first continued the construction of the dynastic shrines at Surkothal and completed it during his lifetime. The shrines was known as Kanishka Unhando Shrine. Shrines of the Kushana dynasty were discovered at Khalchian and Irtam. It's in keeping with their concept of a god-like king at Surkotal and Mathura. They erected shrines housing life-size, freestanding portraits of 3 generations of kings. The Raptak inscription of Kanishka I also mentions the construction of a shrine called the Nanha Shrine, which housed images of various deities as well as Kushana rulers like Kujala Khadpasis, Vima Taktu and Vima Khadpasis and Kanishka. In this inscription, Kanishka is referred as Bogho, which means God himself. As scholars suggest, the deification of kings, the erection and the veneration of their images in centuries and the veneration of people for them led to the foundation and growth of empire cult. The imperial cult was the cement that held together the very different ethnic and linguistic groups, religious beliefs and cultural practices. The various regional characteristics were recognized. The interaction between the Indo-Iranian borderlands and the Doab became more intense as the Kushanas integrated the major urban centers of the time into their rule. Texla in the northwest and Mathura in the Doab were located on the major trade routes that connected the Gangetic region with the northwest and eventually with Afghanistan. Such connections provided commonalities in the material culture of Mathura with that of northwest. They enabled the Kushana monarch to have a kind of royal symbolism by establishing a dynastic shrine in Mathura, suggesting that the relationship with Mathura was much more than a matter of political control. Now, let's discuss about the new elements in Indian society. As already mentioned, there were great migrations of people across northwestern frontier in the post-Mauryan period. However, it would be wrong to believe that the north and the northwestern India were under foreign control during this period. The distinction between foreign and the Indian was not clear during this period, and the Yavanas, Sakas and other became part of the population of Indian subcontinent. Gradually, the Greeks, Sakas, Parthians and Kushanas became the Indianized. According to Mano, the Sakas and the Parthians were Kshatriyas who had deviated from their duties. Hence, they were considered second-class Kshatriyas. In no other period of Indian history were so many foreigners assimilated into the Indian society as in the post-Mauryan period. Most of these rulers had no script, no written language and no organized religion. They became an important part of Indian society to which they contributed significantly. They introduced battle cavalry and the widespread use of horses. They popularized the use of reins and saddles in Buddhist sculpture of the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. In Afghanistan, equestrian figures from the Kushana period have been discovered near Begram. Turbans, tunics, trousers and heavy long cloaks were introduced by the Sakas and Kushanas. The Central Asian warriors also wore caps, helmets and boots. Their military technology later spread to India. So, dear students, from the discussion, it becomes clear that the Kushanas not only had a profound impact on the political landscape of ancient India, but to a great extent influenced the Indian society, more particularly in the field of religion and dress. Dear students, it was all about today's lecture regarding Kushanas. Hope you have understood it well. See you next time with a new topic. Till then, take care and goodbye.